According to experts, writing is mind-boggling. It is troubling. But when you begin to write, it is as easy as duct water. Welcome again to Behind the Words, a program that enables you to understand literature better and puts you on the track of writing. I am Hassan Abdusalam, and with me is the familiar face of the prolific writer, Mr. Eric Andova Msota. Mr. Eric, you're welcome.
It's my pleasure, Hassan.
Yeah. Mr. Eric is a prolific writer. He has so many books to his credit. If you have been following Behind the Words, this wonderful show, Literary Angle, you will realize that in our last few episodes, we treated the ghost gun and we ended the ghost gun on the last episode. Right now, we are about to start another book, and this book is the very first book of Mr. Eric, that is The Tears of Destiny. And this book was published in 2012, and you can't even imagine what is in this book. But then we will let you understand what is in this book, or what you're about to see in the book. Mr. Eric, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
This is another episode where, where we will start to discuss your very first novel,
Yes.
which is The Tears of
Destiny.
Destiny. Yes. Well, I think the very first thing we should do now is let's look at the plot of this book as written by one of your, keen reader and a friend, that is Abubakar Aliu Abba, who happens to be a lecturer at Federal University, Mubi, in Adamawa State. So I suggest we read the plot as written by him, then we'll now go into digesting, or looking at the overview of the entire book. I'm going to start to read the plot as written by one of the keen readers of Mr. Eric's works of art. And when we are done reading it, we will still know how we can digest all that we have heard. When destiny meets at the crossroad, one defines who we are, another defines who we'll become, as articulated by the author in Tears of Destiny. Looking at the preceding quotation, it is imperative for me, that is according to Abubakar Aliu Abba, he said, it is imperative for me to review this novel as it evokes the escapade's inability and disability. Tears of Destiny is uproot on the theme of a young man who was born without a silver spoon in his mouth, or simply put, in a very poor family. A family that barely affords 3 square meals in a day. His name is Yoyina, who is also the protagonist in the novel. He suffered a great deal. Life was very harsh on him. The sabotage of death stole the ambition planted by the young man about his dream of succeeding from elegy to epic. The agony of life unleashed him as he toiled the soil all day, working under the sun and rain to make ends meet. His father, who stood at the crossroad, was also silent by death. What an irony. Yoina's mother is now a widow who worked tirelessly in the farm to assist him at every level life can offer by giving him a helping hand. Even at that, he was associated with much penury in all ramifications. All the people whom life was little promising for them laughed and made mockery of him. He was known with one cloth in his entire life, and everyone could identify him with it. Life was indeed a thorn in his flesh. Barefooted could carry him to school and bring him back. The only uniform his late father made for him could serve him both at home and in school. Apart from the uniform, he has nothing to boast of. But one unique thing about him is that he was an academic ladder, a genius with full of moral uprightness. He believes that despite the difficulties one encounters in life, One's ruthless effort will surely raise him from grass to grace. This was his only source of hope and courage in life. He dictates himself to school, and selling of firewood was the only source to generate his school fees. From nowhere to somewhere, he became a graduate and a successor. Life is when you try to be the author of your book as captured in the novel. The author points in the novel that the road to success is not straight. There are so many lacunas in trying to achieve success, but we must be strong at all times. Determination, perseverance, humility, faith, and hard work can take one to the crossroad where destiny can be identified. The author concluded that success is not winning, it's doing something to the best of your ability based on what you set to achieve. Destiny, according to the novel, can only be delayed but cannot be stopped completely. Destiny is destiny, and one's destiny is his destiny. Don't compare your life with others. Comparison is the thief of all joy. It makes you resentful, jealous, and unproductive, as the author articulated in the novel. Apparently, Andover Eric Nsota is indeed a prolific writer. His fiction draws heavily on the oral tradition of the African people. He weaves folk tales into the fabric of his stories, illuminating societal values in both the content and the form of the storytelling. Another hallmark of him is the use of proverbs, which often illustrate the values of the African tradition. His writings laid a formidable groundwork by altering syntax, usage, and idiom. He transforms the language into a distinctly African style. Now, the language employed by the author is not too hard, and the words are used to a great advantage. The diction reveals the mental and physical agony of life and gloomy picture of hell. The diction is conversational and dramatic. This helps to lighten the thick figurative words that adorn the novel. Grammatical rules of punctuations are carefully followed to reveal the feelings in the minds of people who are thought to live pitiable life. It is to the credit of the author that the simplicity of language did nothing to the subject matter in reducing the profound theme of the novel. The paragraphing of the novel is another thing worth to put into consideration. The paragraphs are well arranged with excellent series of ideas. Above all, the content of the novel is rich. Right, this is the plot as written by Abubakar Aliu, a lecturer at Federal Polytechnic Mubi in Adamawa State. Mr. Eric, we're back.
Yes.
This is wonderful.
Yes.
The plot, who is Yoina? Let's look at the overview of this very novel. Is this Yoina?
Okay. Before I will go into telling you who or describing Yoina to you, I think it is also important to talk about little about the plot of a book.
Okay.
Because I know our viewers out there, they will be so curious to know what plot entails, because that is the foundation of every piece of work. As a writer, before you start writing, you must first identify the plot of your book, because the plot is a device that describes the whole event in a work of art. It is the foundation, the base, that tells you where the setting of the novel, the characters, comes to play. And without the plot, you cannot understand the picture behind what you are trying to create. And the plot of the book, there are some elements that constitute the plot of a book. And number one is the prologue or the introduction, which helps you to bring forth idea of what you want to pass across to your readers. Here you introduce your cast, you talked about the main gist behind that work of art and how it come into being. Then you look at the climax, which is the rising tension. That is where the conflict is being generated in the course of writing. You create conflict in the climax. And from the climax, it goes to the denouement, or which is called the epilogue, the ending or the concluding part of a novel. Now, this is just a holistic view regarding the plot of a novel, and it is very, very essential as a writer to start your write-ups putting into cognizance the plot of a novel.
Okay, the plot is the same thing as the storyline.
Yes, it is a storyline.
So, and your storyline must they go and in the same manner you have narrated it?
Yes,
from just maybe the anticlimax, the climax, and
yes, it forms the structure of your novel.
Okay.
The plot gives you a kind of the structure. If just as if you are starting a journey. Maybe, for example, you want to go to Abuja, for example.
Yes.
Now, you are going to start your journey here in Kano. You cannot jump Zaria except you are going by air. If you are going by road, you pass through Zaria, maybe you go through Kaduna. You follow the same process.
So it begins from, let's take, for example, the example you have given.
Yes.
You're going to embark on a journey to
Yes.
possibly Abuja.
Yes.
And it begins from your intention.
Yes.
Intention to have a bath. You have your bath.
Yes.
You get dressed. You possibly, if you don't have a car, you have to rush to the garage, to the motor
Exactly.
park.
Exactly.
From there,
Yes.
you have to build it.
If you remember, when we were discussing the ghost gun,
Yes.
I made mention that words are extension of intention.
True.
So you extend your intention in the plot of a book. This is where it starts, the prologue. This is the climax. This is the conflict, and this is the denouement or the epilogue. So you follow the same process in writing.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. And the Tears of Destiny has followed these processes.
Exactly.
Okay. Now let's go into knowing who Yoyina is.
All right. Yoyina is the protagonist of the novel, and Yoyina in a typical thief tradition, it simply means people are incapable. And I use the name because one's destiny is one's destiny.
All right, Mr. Eric, one's destiny is one's destiny. Let's go out in a quick break. We'll come back to that.
All right.
And I hope you're with us. This is Behind the Words. And on this very episode, we have begun to look at the very first novel of Mr. Eric, which is The Tears of Destiny. Let's go out on a quick break, and when we'll come back, we'll take it from here. Welcome back to Behind the Words. In case you're just tuning in, we have just begun to treat the very first novel as written by Mr. Eric Andova Nsota, the novel which is The Tears of Destiny. So you should pay attention and follow us. Welcome back, Mr. Eric.
Yes.
One's destiny
is one's destiny. All right. You see, destiny is what we become, or is what we become in future. And you cannot stop destiny, or you cannot prevent destiny. What will be, will actually be. And if you see, William Shakespeare argued that it is not the stars that hold one's destiny, but destiny is in yourself. That is, what you want to be will determine what you become. One success can only be delayed, but cannot be stopped completely. If you are destined to become something in life, there is absolutely nothing one can do about it. And that explains the reason behind Tears of Destiny. Tears of Destiny is a novel that centers on the life of Yoyina, who is the protagonist of the novel. And Yoyina was raised up in a family. He was the protagonist of the novel. He was a very great man who was in a family that can barely afford 3 square meals in a day. That is to say, he was born in a very poor family. But his father, who is Ito, believed that he is the man of people. Ito means everybody.
Everybody.
Yes.
But it's the name of one person.
One person.
But
he is alone.
The meaning of the name
is
means
everybody.
everybody.
Yes. He is one man.
What about Yoyina?
Yoyina is people are incapable.
Wow.
He was one man squad and people are incapable.
So Yoyina, if I understand, people are incapable.
Yes.
That you have said is the meaning of Yoyina.
Yes.
Which means Yoyina is looking at, that is the meaning of the name is pointing towards the fallibility
Yes.
of that is inherent in man.
Yes.
Because man is fallible to a very high degree.
Exactly. And Yoyina being the protagonist of the novel, in those days in Tivland, where people refused to go to school, they believed to get married and settle down. And the case of Yoyina was different. The novel centers on Yoyina's incapability, inability, disability. Despite the fact that he came from a rich family, he believed in himself. And he knew that the relentless effort of a man will surely raise him from grass to grace. And he upheld onto that. He struggled. People laugh at him, mock at him in school because he has one uniform which serves as his own clothes at home and in school. You could imagine the kind of...
This is not just poverty, it's penury.
Exactly, you're right. But despite that, he was focused, determined. The only thing that could offer life to him, which is his father, kicked the bucket along the line. The father passed away, and life becomes unbearable. To a point that Yoyina's mother could sell all the wrappers she has just to see him through school. The woman could do anything just to make sure that the dream of the son comes to reality. You could see the joy of a mother. She don't care if she could sleep empty stomach just to see Yoyina go to school. And along the line, despite the fact that Yoyina was born from a poor family, he kept pushing life. He kept pushing life until he became a successor. And that is to say that one's destiny is one's destiny. And when destiny meets at the crossroad, one defines who we are and another defines who we become. We must come to understand the fact about life that if you are born in a poor family, that is not your fault. You are just a product of circumstances. When your father and your mother meet, you were not there. You were just a product of a circumstances. You were just giving birth in a poor family. And that does not determine your destiny or who you become in life. Your background, your past cannot determine who you become in life. Just the way.
Mr. Eric,
Yes.
I have some questions
Yes.
on destiny and about what you have explained so far.
Yes.
One of the question is this book a fiction or a non-fiction?
It is a fiction.
A fiction.
Yes.
Wow.
It is a fiction. Drawing from non-fiction.
Drawn from non-fiction, just
Yes.
like The Ghost Gone.
Just like The Ghost Gone. And the novel is a tragicomedy. It started happily but ended sadly. Because if you read through, you could see that life was little promising initially, but later on in life, things boomerang and Yohina was not finding life easy.
How did you pick your cast, the name of the protagonist? How did you pick it?
Okay, I picked the name of the cast, drawing from a typical thief tradition. And each cast I pick has a meaning attached to that.
I can see that.
Yes.
Because Yohina is incapable. That is man is incapable.
Capable, yes. Man is incapable to take what belongs to you. Sometimes we ask ourselves, who am I not to be talented, gorgeous? Who am I to become a successor? Who am I to succeed without the help of God fathers? Who am I to become what I want to become in life? Who am I? Do I have the potentials to become someone in life despite the obstacles, the ups and downs? Who are you not to be? You can be what you want to become. Just the way George Orwell put it in his book, The Author of the Animals Farm, that you control, people who control the past controls the future, and people who controls the present controls the past. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. It doesn't matter your background. Some of us, we are born in a family that sometimes we feel ashamed to tell people or to describe the kind of family we come from. But that is not your fault. It is not your fault. It becomes your fault when you cannot make things or change things or make things happen in that society or in that family rather. The background of one's family does not determine the end result of the success of what the person will become.
But the issue of destiny, one's destiny lies in one's hand.
Yes.
It does not apply here.
It applies here. It applies here in the sense that you could see from the beginning of the novel, Yohina's family, they were not having anything. Even when they cry out for help, hardly people sometimes respond to them. But they believe in themselves so much so that you could see, and that is what even gave me the impetus to name the father of Yohina Ito, who believes he alone is everything. Because once you have hope in people, you'll be disappointed. But when you don't invest your confidence in people, you will never be disappointed. Because what you don't expect from people is what you maybe see at the end.
Yes.
And once you don't invest your confidence in people, you don't expect anything from them. What comes your way, you take it the way it is and you celebrate it. Yohina's father was a man who has nothing to offer. But despite that, he knew that there are some potentials in him. And the result of Yohina as a son, that was the only son they had. And he believes that despite as a man who has nothing to offer to life, he knew that with hard work, perseverance, definitely with the support of him as a father and the mother of Yoyina, they can push the son, and definitely he will become something in life, and maybe he can be able to change the entire scenario. And to be honest with you, that was exactly what happens at the end. Yoyina's relentless effort was able to raise him from grass to grace. He became a successor. He changed the entire situation of the family. And the reason is simple. In our contemporary society today, people feel because you are a son of nobody, you cannot be regarded as anybody in the society. And that is totally unacceptable. It is not true. It doesn't matter. When we sometimes, as a student, when I used to see some of the children begging on street, when we have people that they can use only part of their salary to put smile on those children's faces, but hardly you see those things. These children, they don't have a shelter. They are just, some people could even look at them and mock at them. They laugh at them, spit on their faces. How can somebody give birth to children he knew that he does not have the capacity to cater for? But you don't have to blame the children. When the father and the mother met, they were not there. They were just a product of circumstances. And once you look at it from that angle, it can give you a heart, because tears shed for someone is not a sign of weakness, but it is a sign of pure heart.
All right, Mr. Eric, here you said the sabotage of death stole the ambition planted by the young man about his dream of succeeding from elegy
To epic. Yes.
I would want you to elaborate on this very sentence.
Okay.
From you said succeeding from elegy to epic, and from the explanation you have been given, lastly, ultimately, he succeeded.
Yes.
In the end, he succeeded. But here, it is obvious that you said the sabotage of death stole the ambition planted by the young man. Who is the young man now?
That is the protagonist of the novel.
Yoina. Okay. Man, about his dream of succeeding from elegy, that is rising from grass.
Yes.
To grace.
Yes.
Isn't it?
It is.
But here you said the sabotage of death stole the ambition planted by him, which means the death, possibly the death of his father, stole that away from him.
Yes.
Isn't it? So I would want you to, because it's a little bit contradictory. Yes, but before then, we'll go out to a quick break, we'll come back, and you take it from here.
All right.
And I hope you're with us. This is Tears of Destiny. We are trying to look at the general overview of the book. We have read out the plot of the book, and I hope you've been following. We'll go out to a quick break, and when we come back, we'll take it from here. Welcome back to Behind the Words. In case you're just tuning in, we have been, talking about the Tears of Destiny, a book that was written, or that is written by Mr. Eric Andover Nsuta in 2012. He has been an author to so many books, and so many reviews have been made by him. So right now we are trying to see how we can look at the general overview of this book. The journey has just begun. Stay with us. Welcome back.
Thank you, Hassan.
I asked you a question about
Yes.
yes,
From elegy to epic.
yes,
Now, you see, when we talk of elegy is a poem that has to do with sadness, hardship, challenges that one encounters in life. It talks about the difficulties, the penury that one is passing through. But the epic is a poem that tends to glorify,
it celebrates.
celebrate one's achievement. And the coinage of the two words there is to paint a picture of what Yoina, who is the protagonist of the novel, was passing through. At the beginning, life was a bit promising because even though things were not easy, when you have a man in the family, you believe that, of course, the man will always go out and maybe at the end, there will be food on the table. So Yoina was going through challenges, but the father was supportive. The man moved around morning till night to make sure that at a point Yoina's needs are met. But along the line, the only source of hope of a common man was stolen. Death raised their own cold hands on Yoina's father. And life was very, very unbearable to him because the only source of his joy was no more. The mother could not barely afford some of his needs, of the son's needs, school fees. And in the novel, you could discover that the uniform that the father sold for Yoina, that was the uniform that served as a cloth, both at home and at school. And that same uniform at the elementary level of secondary school down to the tertiary institution was what Yoina could boast of. That is to show you how bad life was. But yet, from nothing to somewhere, he becomes a successor, undermining the difficulties he passed through in life because he knew that life is a process and he was still in the process. Because the protagonist of the novel is a man who believes that knowledge is the source of strength, and that gives him the strength at the end. The mother was looking up to him. He became a successor not only in his own immediate family, but he becomes a global phenomenon. People celebrated him. He changed circumstances in his own society and beyond.
Mr. Eric.
Yes.
The title of this novel is
Tears of Destiny.
Yes, Tears of Destiny. Do you have to coin it this way, Tears of Destiny?
Yes.
Why did you give it this title?
Okay. Now,
Is it because of the severe suffering Yoina passed through, or the destiny, his own destiny itself?
okay. Now, I came up with the title of this novel looking at the circumstances surrounding us in our society. Why others are born great, others are born to achieve that greatness, while others have that greatness entrusted upon them. And when I look at the categories of this kind of people in our own society, especially those who are not born great, what they pass through in life, sometimes I ask myself, could this be their destiny? Were they born to live a kind of life, hand to mouth, and to die with it? Or were they not lucky to be given birth in that kind of family? In asking myself this kind of question, Because when I look at people, or when I look at some children in our society, what they are passing through, I tend to weep. And in the course of thinking, meditating in those kind of thoughts, I came out with the title, Tears of Destiny. Tears. Everybody knew that tears, everybody know that tears is not good. But yet sometimes your tears
Makes you see clearer.
makes you see clearer just the way you put it. And sometimes one's dreams could at the end be what you don't even plan for or you don't hope for.
If I may breathe in
Yes.
a little, I think when we look at destiny generally,
Yes.
you know, from a secular platform and possibly a religious platform, destiny is something that comes with your makeup. You're made with it. If whether you're born with greatness or not, is destiny.
Yes.
Now, from the way you put it in this novel, it is obvious that yes, Georgina was destined to be born in a family a family that can barely afford the 3 square meals. You understand? And it is also part of his destiny that he would go through severe suffering, and it is also part of his destiny that he's going to be a successor. He's going to succeed ultimately. Not minding all that he had gone through.
Yes.
He succeeded ultimately. So that, don't you think, is his destiny too?
Yes. You see, destiny, denotatively, it means what will be or what will become in future.
Yes.
And what one cannot, maybe perhaps cannot stop. Connotatively, destiny could be something that one can change. The reason is simple. Now, some of us, we don't believe in ourselves. When you look at Mr. A, you ask yourself, why am I not that person? 75% of the children today, if you ask them, who do you wish would be your father? Most of them, they will say Dangote.
Anyway, I think not even 75%.
Yes.
We'll put it 95%.
They want to be in a category of family that people will look at them and celebrate and honor them.
The epic part.
Yes. Nobody want to associate himself or herself with penury or poverty. But hardship sometimes determine the end result of a man. It prepares you. It builds you.
Yes.
It gives you courage. Remember that some people in life are designed, or some enemies are designed to be part of your destiny. And you cannot achieve your destiny without them. They are just part of your success. A successful novel, a story, cannot be without the antagonist. A good story must have protagonist and antagonist. And who is an antagonist?
Yes, who is an antagonist?
It is the opposer or the leading character.
Of
the leading character in a work of art.
In a work of art.
Yes.
Now, in this Tears of Destiny, from the plot we have read out, we can only deduce the protagonist.
Yes.
Who is Yoyina.
Yes.
Now, who is the antagonist?
Now, if you look at, if by the time we start going...
from my own understanding,
yes,
the antagonist could be, something concrete or abstract.
Yes.
It could be human or something that is not human.
Yes.
Something that is pulling you down.
Anything, I agree with you, anything that prevents you or is serving as an obstacle for you to achieve your ultimate success
is your protagonist.
It is the antagonist in this novel. The forces that are pulling him and the father down are the forces. There are some books you read and you can easily see this is the antagonist. Like if you read The Ghost Gun, we can easily deduce from it that the antagonist is the Ghost Gun.
The Ghost Gun, yes.
While Asa is the protagonist.
True.
Yes. But in this book, I did not point out a specific antagonist. The antagonists in these Tears of Destiny are the opposers, the forces that are surrounding the success of one's dream.
Sorry, I have to still breathe in a little.
Yes.
Can we say the antagonist in this novel now is that destiny?
It's that destiny. We can even say it's that destiny.
Okay.
Because it is until when you realize your destiny that you can be able to walk towards it. Once you don't discover your destiny, it is hard to achieve your destiny. And that is to say that in The Ghost Gun, we say any picture, any dream you cannot picture, you cannot feature in it.
True.
Any destiny you cannot discover, you cannot attain it. Until you discover the essence, the purpose you were created or you were born.
Wow.
And that is why you're on earth for a particular reason. Why wishing to be like Mr. ABC? When you know that you can remake or you can make things happen. By the time we begin to look and appreciate our own potential as human, then the mentality of me being nobody cannot be built in us. But sometimes we tend to forget the essence why we were created. We tend to forget the essence why we were born. And then we focus on the things of the world. We look at comparing us. You begin to look at how to compare myself with Mr. A, Mr. B. You don't have to compare yourself.
So here, the destiny you're talking about, that if you fail to discover your destiny, you cannot achieve it.
Yes.
You understand? So the destiny is, in a simple word, your purpose in life.
Yes.
Okay.
The inbuilt of what you carry within you that is yet to discover, just like a dream. Sometimes, if you don't realize this is the dream or the mystery behind your dream, it is difficult to create or to make that dream come to reality.
All right, Mr. Eric, sorry to cut you. We'll go out on a very quick break.
Okay.
We'll come back and see how we can round off.
All right.
Yes. And I hope you have been able to discover your own destiny so that you can achieve it. If you can't discover your destiny, it means you don't even know your purpose. We'll go out on a quick break and we'll come back. We'll round it off. Welcome back to Behind the Words. In case you're just joining us, we have been discussing the Tears of Destiny. Right now, we have been trying to see how we can analyze Yoyena's destiny and how Yoyena is being able to conquer her own destiny, or his own destiny rather. Mr. Eric, you're welcome back. There's a phrase here, or a sentence, I'll put it, that I would want to ask you. In your book. You said life is when you try to be the author of your book.
Yes.
Why did you put it this way?
You see, life is when you are able to take the bull by the horns of your destiny. It's when you become the author of your book. Remember, nobody will read your book when you did not put any pen on paper.
True.
What makes you, or what makes people to read your book is what you have assembled on paper. And when you don't become the author of your book, nobody will read it. That is to say that when you don't make things happen in a way that is supposed to happen in your own life and in your own society, don't expect nobody else will come and make it happen to you. In a typical society where you don't tend to create good things that people could benefit from, don't think someone somewhere, maybe in America, will come and make things happen in Nigeria, for example. And that is why I quite appreciate the quote by George Orwell that people are the one who control, or people who control the past controls the future, and people who controls the present controls the past. You must be the author of your book. You must be the essence, the reason behind your creation. You must tell people when you fail to bring out the potentials in you, nobody can discover it. But it is only when you make people understand this is the kind of stuff I am made with, that is when people will discover that this is the person you are, and they will celebrate you.
But sometimes, Mr. Eric, there are people whose destiny is not being able to discover their real self.
Yes. You see, life is complex, and it takes philosophy to examine or to understand life. Now, sometimes people are born from poverty to penury to death. There are some people who die without achieving anything. Perhaps it could be their destiny.
Destiny, yes.
But there are some people who are born in abject penury, but yet they strive hard and they make something out of nothing. But that should not discourage us, because destiny could be celebrated and destiny may turn out to be celebrated. Depends on how you handle your destiny. Because sometimes somebody comes from a family that nobody could even dream or think of a kind of person will come out from that kind of family. And that is to say that you don't think of the circumstances surrounding you. Always think of the positive aspect. We must learn to be optimistic in life and not to be pessimistic. We must know that as human, there is something unique about us. Undermining where you're coming from. And you can not only achieve anything in life until when you realize this.
Mr. Eric, let me still draw you back to some portion in the book.
Yes.
Here you said, destiny, according to the novel,
Yes.
can only be delayed, but cannot be stopped completely.
Yes.
Destiny is destiny. And one's destiny is his destiny. Now, let me still come back to the very first sentence.
Yes.
Destiny, according to the novel, can only be delayed, but cannot be stopped completely. I want to understand this quite well.
Yes.
Because when you say destiny can only be delayed, it means destiny that points towards success. You get it now?
Yes.
Destiny that points towards the epic part, not the elegy part. But don't you think that both of them, both epic and elegy, are both destiny?
Yes, they are both destiny.
Good. But here you said destiny can only be delayed. So the delay or the destiny that is delayed,
yes,
is it pointing towards in this novel?
Yes.
In this novel, is it pointing towards the destiny of the epic part or the destiny of the elegy part?
All right, both.
Both.
Yes.
Okay.
It's pointing towards the elegy to epic and epic to elegy.
Okay.
Yes. A typical example could be drawn from the novel. You could see that even though you are born in a poor family, That is your destiny.
Yes.
Yes. It will take time to manifest, and it will not even manifest rather. But that's your destiny. And remember that people are confronted with challenges not only when they are in the epic end. Sometimes when you are going through challenges, remember that there are still forces and obstacles that are pulling you. Even in the state of agony, you still have some elements that are still with you, that are still looking for your downfall. Yes. Sometimes you look at yourself, when you assess yourself, just the state where you are in life now. But to you, you have not achieved anything in life. That is your own thinking, that you are nobody.
But
believe me, somebody is even wishing you dead.
Yes.
Yes. To you, you are just picking up in life, trying to become somebody in life. But somebody is already wishing this person at least dead. Why? That is the elegy part. A typical example you could see, maybe during your undergraduate, you think you were just trying to, okay, let me study hard to become or graduate with a good result. But you could also be amazed that there was somebody somewhere, it could even be a lecturer, that was looking for your downfall. The grade that you deserve, maybe you might, you were good, a good student at that. But maybe we were your junior, my thinking concerning your result was first class. I was shocked when I saw you being in strong 2-1. But yes, I still celebrated you, but my thinking was your result was beyond that. That is to say that maybe in your course of struggling to become something in life, at the point of zero level, people are still looking for your downfall.
True.
Now, from the epic aspect, when you become a successor, what do you think people who are rich keep clamoring for riches all the time? Because someone is a president, you think the person has reached the peak that one can glorify him. But yet, he wants to remain there for life. Why? Because power is sweet. And when you taste it, you want to remain there. And remember that people are always there to make sure that you come back to square one. And you're always struggling to maintain the status quo.
All right, Mr. Eric, let's not keep struggling to maintain the status quo in the studio. It's about time we called this session off because time is really frowning at us. Yes. And I want to say thank you very much for taking out your time to be with us here today to discuss your very first book, which is The Tears of Destiny. And I hope we'll have much more time to see how we can, digest this very book properly so that our viewers can really benefit from it. So many people have read your book because this book was published in 2012.
Yes.
And a lot of people, one of them is the one that wrote the review of this book, the plot of the book that we have read out to the viewers. And I hope you will find time to always be here and see how we can digest The Tears of Destiny.
Yes, and let me tell you that destiny is destiny, whether good or bad. So one's destiny is one's destiny.
All right, thank you very much. And I thank you very much for watching Behind the Words. We always say that Behind the Words is always a program, your literary angle, a program that you can relate with anytime. You can poke me anytime you want. If you are interested in the show and you are, writing, you have been writing and you want to be featured on this very show, just poke me and we will bring you to the studio. We will continue The Tears of Destiny in our next episode. Please use the social media platform showing on your screen. You can reach us anytime. You can ask of this book and I will relate with Mr. Eric, or rather give you Mr. Eric's contact so that you can contact him directly and you get The Tears of Destiny. Mr. Eric, See you next time.
Thank you very
All
much.
right, see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.